So I recently filmed a video about Kevin Samuels, and I quickly noticed something in the comment section from his supporters, his followers, who came to comment on my video. They all sounded very similar. I was like, huh? Why do they all sound the same, use similar words, have like a similar vernacular, similar tone of voice, similar vibes, similar energy? And I was like, gosh damn, that's that parasocial relationship. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're good, hope you're well. So a couple weeks or months ago, I filmed a video on the topic of parasocial relationships. And in that video, I focused more on, us giving influencers and content creators and public figures grace, because I feel like the lack of two-sided relationship kind of causes us to not give them grace and to be a bit harsher towards them. I've been seeing that a lot now as well, where people that you followed because they post a nice bag and shoe are now being called out because they're not speaking on certain political or sort of topic, injustices. That's a whole nother topic. Wondering whether I should speak on that or not. But anyways, that's what I focused on last time. But this time, I want to look at parasocial relationships again, but on the other side. So how are the influencers influencing us through this one-sided relationship? So we all know what influencers are and what they do. They influence us, right? They influence us to make purchases. They influence us to pick up a skill, learn how to do our hair, that sort of thing. They might influence the way we think. If they are a thought-provoking influencer, they might influence our way of life to an extent. So we understand that. But what I found really interesting is that I think not only do they influence us on all those things, sometimes we start to sound, think, and act like them. Just like you would in an actual friendship in real life, where you start to pick up the words that your friends use, you start to kind of speak in the same tone of voice, you kind of have similar personalities. It happens in friendships, it happens in relationships, it happens. But I've noticed that it actually happens in one-sided relationships, in parasocial relationships between influencers, public figures, celebrities, and their sort of fan base. Now, when I say one-sided, I'm using it loosely, as in I understand that it's not completely one-sided. I understand that, especially with content creators, there's interaction between content creators and the viewers, right? So it's definitely two-sided to an extent. I recognize people that comment on my videos a lot and I comment back. I recognize people that DM me on Instagram a lot and I DM them back. So there's a dialogue going on. But obviously, you, the viewer, know more about the content creator than the content creator knows about you. So to an extent, it's kind of one-sided. The chameleon effect. You know me, always Googling why we act and think the way we do. And I found the chameleon effect. I'm going to try and read it verbatim so I don't mess anything up, all right? I've got two definitions. The first one, the chameleon effect refers to non-conscious mimicry of the postures, mannerisms, facial expressions, and other behaviors of one's interaction partners, such that one's behavior passively and unintentionally changes to match that of the other in one's current social environment. And authors are saying that the mechanism behind this is called the perception behavior link. So it's basically that the fact that the mere perception of another's behavior automatically increases the likelihood of engaging in that behavior oneself. Interesting. Second definition, a chameleon effect may manifest itself in different ways. One may notice using the idiosyncratic verbal expressions or speech inflections of a friend, or one may notice crossing one's arm while talking with someone else who has his or her arms crossed. Basically, it just means when your friend uses a certain sort of word or a certain sort of slang or speech inflection. I do it all the time. My friend might be like, yep. And then all of a sudden I'm saying, yep. So that is what is meant by the chameleon effect. And I'm not saying the chameleon effect will make us copy everything that we see. So every YouTube video that you watch, every influencer you engage with, you will copy what they do. But I think we sort of have to add the fact that most of us, most people, most humans engage or support content from people who are already like them or already share their views. People that you kind of already see yourself in. I got another word for you, and it is homophily. This is basically the love of the same. And again, I have two definitions for you, okay? I'm gonna read them out. Homophily, it is the tendency of individuals to associate and bond with similar others, as in the proverb, birds of a feather flock together. Homophily, literally love of sameness, is a sociological theory that similar individuals will move towards each other and act in a similar manner. And although I feel like homophily and this like idea probably came originally from assessing, face-to-face interactions and actual real-life groups and communities, I definitely feel like it still applies and it's still very prevalent in the social media era that we live in. In fact, it's so powerful principle on social media that whole communities on Facebook can be modeled by extrapolating as little as 20% of that population. So I work in marketing, and if any one of you have used Facebook advertising, you'll understand what I'm saying. You can create lookalike audiences, right? So if you have a shop and you have a subscriber list of 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, you can take that data, put it into Facebook, and Facebook can make a lookalike audience of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people that then you can target with your ads. And all they know is that from that email address, we are going to find 1 million people that are similar to your existing customers. And more times than not, that lookalike audience will outperform other audiences that you might build using other resources. So that just goes to show that like people act the same, and therefore if this 100 people that you have, if Facebook knows that they have this sort of activity on Facebook, they can find 1 million other people, and it's likely that a lot of those people will also buy that t-shirt that that other person bought. That's mad. You see this a lot with YouTube fan bases. All you need to do is take a look at the comment section and you'll see what I'm saying, right? For example, let's take Kelly Stamps.
Hello everybody, this is Kelly Stamps.
Kelly Stamps is funny. She's kind of sarcastic and she's got a dry sense of humor. Her comment section is full of people who are funny, kind of sarcastic, and have a dry sense of humor.
Who this?
Kevin Samuels. He is straight talking, no nonsense, and quite blunt. And his comment section, and now mine, are filled with people who are straight talking, to the point, and quite blunt.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am back.
KSI. KSI is full of banter and he trolls himself and his friends all the time. His comment section is full of people who are bantering each other and trolling each other. This is not an accident, people. I just realized that all my case studies are KS. Kelly Stamps, Kevin Samuels, KSI. So we know that they arrive there and they stay there due to homophily. And we know that they then start to mimic and pick up sort of mannerisms due to the chameleon effect. But I do feel like there is another layer, like a psychological, emotional, something layer in there that is around wanting to be accepted into the group and that need for acceptance and connection. We actually emulate our acquaintances, not just because it's like a subconscious thing our brain does, but also because it helps us feel part of that social group. And this can lead to like me changing my behavior to reflect you and your attitudes, because now I see you as like an extension of myself or my peer. This is known as vicarious dissonance. Last word that I Googled, I promise. And this can kind of lead to us forming like solidarity with our peers and almost being like defensive of them. I read about a study, and I hope I'm gonna like explain it right. But basically, they interviewed students at a particularly like environmentally friendly part of America. I think it's like California or something. So the students are all about that, sustainability life. So they interviewed some students, and I think one of the students they interviewed had made like a hypocritical statement. I think they said like, when you travel short distances, you should try to walk or take a bike. And then they admitted that they had driven to the interview. So they basically were being a bit hypocritical. There were students watching this interview, and then there was also an actor. And so the actor, when the actor was dressed as a fellow student, like in the student jumpers or whatever, they were then sat next to a real student, and the actor made a comment to be like, a bit hypocritical of them. And in that case, the actual student sort of relaxed their stance on like environmental stuff and sustainability in the presence of their fellow student being hypocritical and another who they thought was a fellow student calling out that hypocrisy. Now, same thing happened again, but the actor came in dressed in like a suit or something, so clearly not a student. And again, they commented on the fact that the student had been hypocritical. In that instant, the real student came to the defense of the student who had been hypocritical and basically strengthened their stance on environmental issues and sustainability. So basically, in the face of criticism by a stranger, we might come to the aid, to the defense of our peer. But if left to form our own opinions, we can sometimes interpret the hypocrisy of our fellow peer as a sign that we can also relax our stance on that thing. Does that make sense? That I found that very interesting. So it's like, yes, we think for ourselves, but if there's someone that we support in a sort of, even if it is in a sort of one-sided parasocial relationship, like an influencer that we love, and somebody else comes to say something about them, we are very quick to jump to their defense. Whereas when we are left to our own thinking and like it's the influencer, the person that we like and we love, has done something wrong, rather than calling that out or, you know, thinking for ourselves and be like, no, I don't agree with that, we take that as a sign subconsciously to relax our own views on that topic. That opened my eyes, is all I'm trying to say. I'm sure not all of this is like, oh my gosh, I never knew this. Like, I'm sure a lot of you knew this and knew about like peer pressure and conforming to fit into certain groups, subconsciously or consciously. Because the three primary social influences are conformity, compliance, and obedience. So what now? I think we accept that mirroring and homophily are normal, they're subconscious, they're things that we are going to do as human psychological beings. We should also accept that we do this because we are people who crave community, we crave affection and love. And so sometimes we do this subconsciously because, not in a pick-me sort of way, but you want to be accepted into the group that you identify with, and you sometimes just want that person, that influencer, that whoever, to like you and to engage with you. But as always, we have to be mindful. I think we have to be careful that we're not being influenced to do, to speak, to think in a way that isn't actually how we would normally think and speak and act if we were thinking for ourselves and if we were going by our own moral values and beliefs. And we have to be careful that by mirroring somebody, we're not simply regurgitating the words that they're saying in another environment, and we are actually filtering people's words. We always have to filter everything that comes into our space. Somebody says to us, we have to filter it through, is this right? Is this what I believe? Do I agree? And then it comes out the other end, if not the other end, the same end, if it's something that we can co-sign. The same way I would say, don't let an influencer influence you to spend outside of your means or buy things that you don't actually want or need. It's the same way I'd say, don't let an influencer influence you to speak on things or about things or in a way that you wouldn't normally do. That's different from you from learning something from someone and then deciding for yourself, yes, I agree. And then you can, obviously that can become part of your thing. That's obviously how we all learn. And everything we're saying, we've learned from someone else. But yeah, that's different from just being like, I support this person, everything they say, I'm going to regurgitate. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. So parasocial relationships, part deux, part two. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys. As always, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to try and reply to comments this time because in my last video, I just had to put my phone away. I didn't reply to the comments, but I will try to reply to you guys on this one. And as always, check out some of my other videos. Check out my parasocial relationships that I did, the original one. And yes, as always, I'll leave relevant video links down below and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.